EDHREC is a site built entirely around the statistics that make up our format, but sometimes those stats might not represent what cards work best in a deck. Welcome to Challenge of Stats, where I'll be taking a look at 2 cards that could be used for a popular commander. One that I think sees too little play, and one that I think sees too much. Miirym Sentinel Wyrm is one of the most popular newer commanders in EDHREC, and the most popular teamer commander. And that's for a very good reason. It's a ridiculously powerful commander. Just absurd. Miirym costs 6 mana, 3 in teamer, so 3 green, blue, red. For a dragon spirit, it's a 6/6. It has flying and ward 2 for some reason, and says, whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if that dragon is legendary. On top of being scarily powerful, Myriad strongly suggests you run it at the top of a dragon-themed deck. Creature-themed decks are very powerful, and dragons are one of the most popular creature types. Put all of those things together and you have a recipe for a commander with more than 12,000 decks in EDHREC. However, not all of the cards that are showing up in Miirym lists should maybe be there, and the one that I think shouldn't is Silumgar's Scorn. Silumgar's Scorn is a counterspell, blue, as an additional cost to cast Silumgar's Scorn, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. If you revealed a dragon card or control a dragon as you cast Silumgar's Scorn, hard counter that spell instead. Now, before we go any further, I understand why a card that cares about dragons would show up in a dragon-themed deck, and if you're running it for those kind of thematic reasons, then by all means keep doing so. If you're not, though, I just don't think it's quite a reliable enough option, and I'm not just theory crafting this here. I have a Dimir Dragons deck led by Silumgar the Drifting Death, so I'm familiar with playing a dragon deck with access to blue. For one, it's only a hard counter if you reveal a dragon or have a dragon already in play. Now, I thought that would just never be an issue in a Dragon's deck, and while it didn't happen a lot, it happened often enough to frustrate me on more than one occasion. Perhaps more importantly, though, is that Silumgar's Scorn is always going to cost you 2 blue mana in a 3-color deck, and unless you have a really perfect mana base, it can be tricky to use that blue mana on your turn to do something, and then leave up 2 blue pips to deal with some kind of a potential problem and counter it. Do you know what doesn't require 2 blue mana, though? Delay, a card showing up in just 71 of the over 12,000 Miirym lists. Delay is a counter spell costing 1 in the blue. It says counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile it with 3 time counters on it instead of putting it into the owner's graveyard. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. Delay always solves your problem, well, at least for a few turns, regardless of how many dragons you have in hand or in play. It's much easier to cast, only having a single blue pip in the cost, and it's never going to require you to give up any information to your opponents by asking you to reveal a dragon from your hand, assuming you don't have one that's actually on the battlefield. Now, yes, it's true delay doesn't solve your problems forever, but 3 turns is an awfully long time, especially in a deck as powerful as Miirym. The person just might not be there in 3 turns, and very often isn't, especially playing against Miirym. Their spell also might no longer matter if it's something like a counter spell or instant speed removal that's trying to stop you from making a huge play. And if they were targeting something of yours with the spell you just stopped, well, in 3 turns there might be a better target that isn't yours. And again, I'm not just theory crafting this. I replaced Silumgar's Scorn with Delay in my dragon deck, and I've never once experienced regrets for having Delay that I occasionally ran into with Silumgar's Scorn. So in summary, Silumgar's Scorn, I think, is overplayed in Miirym decks, and Delay is underplayed in Miirym lists as well as probably a whole bunch of other places. Thanks for listening, and remember, EDHREC your deck before you wreck your deck.